Today we're going to help you pick the very best civilization for waging war. So stick around in this video to crush your enemies with the right civilization choice. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisco Gaming, and in this video we're going to cover the very best civilizations for war. And if you want just a short answer of how to approach this, when you're not in KVK, pick Germany. And when you are in KVK, pick Ottoman. The rest of this video is going to explain in great depth how you can actually optimize the heck out of the different civilization choices. And before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Loot Cakes. Loot Cakes gives you gift cards in exchange for getting a look at your mobile purchasing patterns and data. Essentially, you hook up your Gmail account, and you do have to have a Gmail account in order to participate, and Loot Cakes will go through and get a look at your mobile gaming receipts, either through Apple's App Store or Google Play or Steam, and then they give you credit for purchases that you've made. And then you use that credit. You can see I've got my Loot Cakes up top here. I'll go back to my screen. I've got 100,000 of them. You turn those into gift cards, which is kind of amazing because I'm not really doing anything differently than I would have otherwise with my spending in mobile games, and now I'm getting gift cards for it. But what's more is, even if you're not spending at all, or maybe you are, you can join an alliance. I've created 2, and there are extra rewards for participating in an alliance. So I'll show you now. Here's the Rise of Kingdoms alliance that I created. Anybody can join. Doesn't matter what kingdom you're in. Doesn't matter what alliance you're in Rise of Kingdoms. Everybody joins into this alliance, and then boom, we all get more rewards for all of the purchasing that everybody else is doing. So as someone who likes to spend a ridiculous amount of money in mobile games, I spent $40,000 in my first couple years playing Rise of Kingdoms. Look right up in the top if you want to see that crazy video, right? Yeah, this is going to be pretty valuable to me, getting some amount of money back in the form of gift cards. I thought you might like to see this. And if you don't already have a Gmail account, you can always create a Gmail account to start putting your mobile gaming receipts to. That way you could sign up for Loot Cakes and start getting money back in the form of those sweet, sweet gift cards. Loot Cakes is currently only in the US, but additional countries and email providers are planned for the future. So if you're totally opposed to the idea of signing up for a Gmail account, you might want to still check this out later for when that does open up to other email providers and also to other countries. I'll be sure to let you know all about that as well. Again, the link is in the description for a way to convert your purchases in free-to-play games in the iTunes App Store, Google Play, and Steam into rewards on Loot Cakes. So thanks again to Loot Cakes. And let's talk about the endgame stuff. Let's get this going, baby. Talking about the best civilizations for open field, for garrisoning, for rallying when you're battling against other players. This is good for ROK of Osiris, but it's very good for KVK, and we have our KVK coming up later today. We're entering into the map for Heroic Anthem, so this has been top of mind for me. So let's start with Cav players. If you are a Cav player, I actually think if you're going to be fighting, you should still go with the Ottoman Empire. You get the 5% march speed and 5% skill damage for every commander except Attila Takeda. Man, this is just amazing. March speed, skill damage. It sucks that you're not getting a special unit. It sucks that you're not getting stats for that unit in the form of, in this case, it's archer health. But if you're bringing a mix of marches to the field anyways, you're probably bringing an archer march, maybe. Right? You'll still get a bunch of benefit from the Ottoman Empire. I think this is your choice even if you're doing Cavs. And of course, if you're doing archers, no brainer, you go with the Ottoman Empire. That only leaves infantry, which have some interesting choices. If you're field fighting with infantry, what do you bring? There are 3 choices that we need to talk about. One is Rome. March speed, troop defense, love it. Rome is a strong choice that I actually think is probably the #1 for ROK of Osiris, and I personally use this because you really want the march speed in that game mode, big time. And if you primarily focus on infantry units, especially if they don't do skill damage, then this is the play. Now, if they do a lot of skill damage, I hate to say it, but you might still seriously consider the Ottoman Empire. And the reason I still really like the Ottoman Empire, even for infantry, is you're getting the same march speed boost, but the skill damage is a proactive buff. You are going to deal extra damage to the enemies, even if they aren't attacking you or if they are. And that is relevant when we compare to the new civilization, the Vikings. The Vikings are strong, 3% counterattack and 5% attack for infantry. And when you're in the open field, yes, that is valuable, but I don't like how much you're really kind of depending on the enemy to attack you to get the benefit of that 3% counterattack damage. Like, sure, if they're attacking you, it's good. And right up until that point, it's doing literally nothing for you. So, I don't know. You could make a case for Ottoman, and that's especially true if you're also bringing archer marches. You could make a case for Vikings because, well, I mean, the counterattack damage, the special unit's great, the attack is good. The final civilization I do want to talk about for infantry is, of course, France. This is giving 3% health to all of your troop types, which seems really strong. And you get the 20% hospital healing speed. And I'll tell you, Cortex from my kingdom does a lot of fighting. He and I were talking about this. And even he kind of feels like the 20% hospital healing speed at the huge amount of fighting he does. He's like one of the top fighters in our kingdom. It's still not enough of a speed up savings in his eyes. And I think I would agree for it to be worth it to go France, which means for most people, you were almost certainly better off picking a different civilization other than France. That would be like Rome or Ottoman. So this is why I said for open field fighting in war, the short answer is almost certainly the Ottoman Empire. If you have any archer marches at all, you're getting the benefit of the Janissary unit and the archer health. The march speed is going to be good for everything, and the skill damage is going to be good for everything. And you know that I am a huge, huge proponent of skill damage in open field fighting. Huge proponent. Area of effect skill damage is the jam. Now, if you're going to be rallying in KVK, or in Ark of Osiris, there actually is some interesting choices here, and the number one civilization is certainly going to be Arabia. 5% rallied army damage is huge, okay? It's so good that even if you're picking infantry, I would pick Arabia for a rally instead of picking the Viking civilization. 5% all damage, in my eyes, is way better than 5% infantry attack and 3% counterattack. And I get that the Berserker special unit is really cool, but within like 60 seconds of the rally starting anyways, you're only going to have like a couple thousand troops left in the rally, so they're barely going to be contributing anything at that point. So I think if you're rallying calves, the answer is Arabia. If you're rallying with infantry, the answer is still Arabia. And only if you're rallying with archers would I say, you know what? Frickin' the Ottoman Empire is still so dang good. It's why I started the video with like, yeah, short answer is maybe just go Ottoman, because you will benefit from the archer health with your rallying archers. The march speed, okay, I mean, it's good for field fighting, and the 5% skill damage is solid. So we're basically comparing 5% archer health and skill damage to 5% all damage. And I think that because Ottoman is so good for other stuff too, which we'll talk about in a second, that is almost certainly the better play if you're rallying archers. But for calves, for infantry, pick Arabia. But now we need to talk about garrisoning. And man, that Ottoman Empire is so flexible in that regard. It is, of course, the best choice if you're garrisoning archers. I feel like a little bit of a broken record, which is why I started the video the way that I did. But if you're going to garrison with infantry, I actually would steer you away from Ottoman, and at this point, I would say Vikings are probably the play. The counterattack is going to be gangbuster when you're defending against multiple rallies, and I'll say that it's also really good in Ark of Osiris if you're getting swarmed. I also really like the fact that you're getting 5% attack, 3% counterattack damage for defending that structure. Even if it is just a single rally, the counterattack is guaranteed to be relevant because when you're the garrison captain, they are guaranteed to be attacking you and triggering the effect of that counterattack damage. Now, you could make an argument that in Ark of Osiris, that Rome is perhaps a better garrison, and I would agree with this, because the defense is going to make your garrison survive longer, which means you hold the building longer, which means people have more opportunity to reinforce you, and the march speed is top tier for Ark of Osiris. This is the civilization I used when I garrisoned with Zenobia in Ark of Osiris. In KVK, however, I might try to garrison with the Vikings. I think the chances that I'm taking a multi-rally are not small. And I think that my focus will almost certainly need to be on infantry for this KVK. That's my guess. Now, if you're garrisoning with cavalry, we have kind of a weird situation. Technically, the best you can do is Byzantium for 5% cavalry health. But I'm going to be perfectly honest. If you're using like a Jadwiga garrison, then I still feel like Ottoman Empire is once again the winner. The 5% skill damage is probably better than the 5% cav health. And again, the special unit does not matter all that much unless you're dumping like 5 marches into the flag and repeatedly cycling those marches back in. The special unit from your captain march, I mean, you're going to be dwindled down to a couple thousand units pretty quickly. And at that point, it's everybody else's units making the big difference maker in the garrison anyways. So if I were to summarize everything that we have covered so far in this video, like, yeah, Ottoman Empire is just absolutely gangbuster for field, for rally, for garrison. And there are exceptions, like using Arabia for rally if you're doing infantry or calves. There are exceptions, like if you're garrisoning infantry. I actually think there are situations where Vikings are better, that Rome is better. But the versatility that you're getting from Ottoman is so gangbuster, regardless of what type of unit you're using. For the open field, it's just very, very good. And at the start of this video, I said whenever you're not in KVK, you should be using Germany. That's a recommendation I want to explain very briefly. You're getting cav attack, which is fine. Not the best stat, but fine. You're getting training speed of 5%, and that's really the moneymaker right there, and action point recovery. So this is a phenomenal civilization, truly phenomenal, because you're going to train more troops, which means you can send them to die. In KVKs, you have 4 troop training buildings that are benefiting from the 5% training speed, and it is worth it to use a civilization swap token if you're going to be training about 1 million troops, even if you have to do a civilization swap token back to immediately fight. So I would think that in your downtime between KVKs, between the speed ups you're using and the natural training that you're doing, you're probably just switching to Germany, going to get a lot of value, not even to mention the action point recovery, which you can use to battle barbs, to get resources, to get speed ups, and even in KVK, I mean, to get materials as well. It's really, really strong. So Germany is your pick outside of KVK, and I suppose if you're in the very early game, you could do Spain very briefly to get some extra experience to level up your commanders. That, I think, would be pretty reasonable if you're battling all of the Guardians at the holy sites, and you, for a short period of time, really want to get lots of experience. If you need that, you could do that. Now, this video is not about starting civilizations, but if you want to see my recommendations for that, I'll put a card up in the top for the very best starting civilizations in Rise of Kingdoms so that you can get a great freaking start. And it'll give you all of the considerations for being a brand new player into the game. But I personally, going into war very soon, I'm looking very heavily at Ottoman Empire. And since I'm going to be garrisoning, very heavily at the Viking civilization as well. My game plan is probably Zenobia YSS, but man, I might be using Jadwiga too. We'll see. If you enjoyed this video, throw a like on here and consider subscribing, and leave a comment down below with the civilization that you're going to use in KVK and why. Is there anything I overlooked? It's entirely possible, and I want to know about it. Show me in the comments. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.